Hi everyone, I'm coming on to show you how to make my little peep pattern. Please pardon my nails, I am due for a manicure, but I'm gonna just power through that, ask that you all do the same. So this is my little mini peep pattern. I think this is a $5 market make, and I wanted to share with you all this pattern, which is a little bit smaller, I think, than a lot of the other peep patterns that are out there, and therefore a really good $5 market make. So with that, I wanted to share that I used Just Chenille by Premier. I found a bunch of yellow at the Dollar Tree, so I ended up picking that up. With the Just Chenille, I work with a 4.5mm hook, a 4mm hook. I work with a 4mm hook with this weight yarn. For this, you will need scissors, you will need a needle, and you will need a stitch marker. So, I just realized I do not have my pattern in front of me. So for this pattern, I have some pre-balled yarn that I'm going to use. I am going to do 6 single crochets in a magic ring. I've talked about this before, but with chenille yarn, I do prefer the chain 2 method because I feel like there's less shedding, less ripping, and the same effect. So what I'm going to do is single crochet 6 into a magic ring. Single crochet 6 to make the first round. So I start off by chaining 2, and then in the first chain, I will place 6 single crochets. So that was 6 single crochets into the first chain, which is the second chain from the hook. Okay, I also have talked about this before, but I work my tail in a little bit in the round. I feel like that helps keep it secure. So I'm gonna take my stitch marker. I place my stitch marker on the last round. People are mixed on that debate, first or last stitch. I always put mine in the last stitch. So then I'm going to, for rounds 2 through 4, I'm going to single crochet around. So that will be a total of 6. So I'm going to place my hook into the first single crochet, do 1, and continue through 6. I don't count out loud. I feel like that's very distracting when you're trying to keep your own count. So I've completed round 2, moving my stitch marker. At this point, you should pop your work the right way if it flipped on you so that your stitches are facing right side out, and then do another 2 rounds of single crochet around. So it'll be rounds 2 through 4 are 6 single crochet around. Are complete, and this is the end of the first ear, so I'm going to fasten off. You don't need to leave a tail for sewing. You can just leave a very short tail and work that in. So that is ear 1. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to make ear 2. Ear 2 is going to be the same thing. So I'm going to make a slip stitch or a slip knot. I'm going to then chain 2. And I'm going to place 6 stitches in the second chain from the hook. So that first chain that we made, I'm going to place 6 single crochets. And I'll place my stitch marker in the last stitch of the round. Okay, so this is made in continuous rounds. So I'm going to then, for rounds 2 through 4, I'm going to do 6 single crochet around. So I'm just going to move right into that first single crochet of round 1 and place another single crochet, and then continue around. The end of round 2, I'm going to pop my work the right way. Place my stitch marker. And then 6 single crochet for rounds 3 and 4. At the end of round 4, do not fasten off. I know it's tricky to make these smaller sized 6 single crochets for a few rounds. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it is the way to get the desired size. So what I'm going to do for round 5 is I'm going to grab my first ear. I'm then going to join just by inserting my hook into one of the single crochets of the first ear and then simply doing a single crochet. And so I am going to single crochet 12 around. So it will be 6 in the first ear and 6 in the second ear. I always seem to end up with an extra stitch, so I just essentially do a decrease to join them. And that's stitch 1 of the next ear. Same thing here. If I find myself having that extra stitch, I do a decrease. So in the end, you have the 12 stitches. Okay, round 6 is 12 single crochet around. That I did indeed miss one of my stitches in the beginning. I'm going to forgive myself and just add a second stitch here. Round 7 will be a single crochet increase round. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then I'm going to increase in the next stitch, so 2 in 1, and I'm going to repeat that around, single crochet, increase, for a total of 6 times and 18 stitches. very much a do as I say, not as I do person. And also, as you can see, I feel like amigurumi is pretty forgiving if you kind of miss an area there, just make up for it in the other side. Which is probably not the right answer. You should frog and fix it, but for the purpose of this, we'll just go through. Okay, so round 8, I am going to single crochet around, so that's 18 total stitches. I feel like that also exclusively happens to me when I'm joining together like ears or 2 pieces, so I probably need to freshen up my skills on how to do that. I'm missing something because it does happen pretty consistently. Okay, so round 9 is going to be a single crochet decrease round. So invisible decrease, it's actually wrong on my last tutorial. Invisible decrease, you work under the first stitch and then under the second, yarn over, pull up through both, finish the single crochet. So I'm going to do a single crochet and then an invisible decrease. So again, I'm putting my hook under the first loop, and then I'm putting my hook from the top under the second loop, pulling the yarn through and finishing the single crochet. And I'll do that just one more time. So I'm doing a single crochet and then an invisible decrease. When I do the invisible decrease, I put my hook underneath the first front loop only, and then from the top, the second front loop only, yarn over, pull through both, and then finish the single crochet. Okay? Single crochet. I'm doing that around. I like to take my stitch marker out on the last one because it kind of gets in the way. Okay, so that brings me back down to 12 stitches. And then for round 10, what I'm going to do is increase into every stitch. So I'm going to put 2 stitches in every stitch starting in round 10. Okay, so that gives me 24 stitches, and as you can see, the top of my bunny head has formed. At this point, one thing I forgot to mention that you will need is safety eyes. I believe these are 5mm eyes that I have. It honestly came from a variety pack and I lost the thing, so I'm not positive. But you can place your safety eyes if you are not gluing them in or using the felt or sewn option at this point. You're going to want to put them between rows 6 and 7, about 2 stitches apart, basically centered down on the ears. If you're using safety eyes, you would insert them at that location. Sorry, I had to do this post-edit because I kind of messed up when I was telling you guys how to do them. But as you can see, that's row 5, 6, So between rows 6 and 7, 2 stitches apart with these 5mm eyes. Also forgot to mention you will want stuffing, so I'm going to grab that. You do not need much stuffing for this project. I do not stuff the ears. I just put a tiny bit of stuffing in the head. And I do that now because it's a little bit harder to get it through later. So, we just finished round 10. Okay, so for rounds 11 and 12, we'll just be single crocheting around 24. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 12. And for round 13, I will be doing a single crochet invisible decrease around. Okay, and round 14 is our last round. We just finished round 13, which was single crochet invisible decrease around, bringing us down to 16 stitches. And so for round 14, which is our last round, we're going to decrease around to bring us to 8 stitches. I'm doing this because okay, and then I'm going to, I always just drop my hook through the next stitch and yarn over and pull through. You will need to leave a tail sufficient to sew around the bottom. Say 6 inches is more than enough. I pull my tail through all the way. Then I'm going to stuff the body. Doesn't have to be super firm, but just enough to give it a little squish. You do not need very much stuffing for this project. And if you'd like, you can kind of shape the head a little bit. Look at how cute it is. And as you do that, figure out whether or not you need more stuffing. I'm going to add a tiny bit more. Okay, so then I'm going to take my darning needle. I'm going to cinch closed. And to cinch closed, in case you're unfamiliar, all you do is you take your needle and in the front loop only of each stitch, you pull your yarn through, you sew back and forth between those front loops only around. And then you just pull it tight. And see, it closes it up nice and tight. Okay, so then I'm just gonna tie it. I always add a knot or two because I get nervous. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna weave the tail through the body a time or two. Cut off the excess. Gotta love the chenille, covered in fuzzies. But this is your bunny. This is your Easter peep. Came out pretty cute, even though we all know I missed a stitch in the round 5. That's okay. It still came out good. And this is the final peep. And that's it. I hope you enjoy making your little peeps for your Easter baskets and your Easter markets. Feel free. I'm going to try to post the written pattern on my Instagram, and then I'll put it on my Etsy as well if you prefer to have that PDF. But happy Easter. I hope you enjoy making this little peep.